So, I only got this comment once. And honestly, it was kind of surprising. But, not all of the women have checked in yet on the video. So, you know, I was thinking about waiting a day and doing the other video I was going to do. But I'm doing this instead. So that I don't forget to do it. You know, because I'll forget. And I think that I have an interesting perspective on this. But I only got one person to say, essentially, I would like to think that you'd have intervened. And I'm kind of like, it depends. It really depends on how it started, who started it, and, you know, where I wind up coming into it. If I'd have come into it there and saw a guy hitting two girls that were coming at him, no, I probably wouldn't have done anything. I'd have been like, look at the fight. I mean, I've seen this shit before. I've never seen like that before. I mean, I've seen it before on like YouTube, but I've never seen that live before. So I might have hung around for a second, you know, just to see what happened. Just to see if like he knocks one of them out and starts kicking them. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where my mind would go to it. I'd probably hang around just to make sure that it doesn't get really, really bad. If it was two dudes and that bear was fucking wrestling with them, I would kind of just be like, meh, I've seen this before. And I would just fucking walk away. If he winds up kicking a couple of guys, you know, there's already 5,000 fucking people here. Somebody's going to jump in and save them. Because, again, I've seen this all before. I got to a very low point in my life. And I started going to hang out with old friends at an old bar. And I kind of, you know, rekindled that old friendship with all these guys that I used to hang out with, you know, in high school and shit. And it's been really good in the long run, but during it all wasn't fantastic because we hung out at the bar every night. For 6 years, I was at the bar every night. Like, I 2 bars. Because there was one bar that I would go to for half the night, and then I would go down to the other bar and hang out with Dennis, who worked there. Like, you know what I mean? So, I was always hanging out with Dennis, backing him up, because he was the bouncer at the bar. And I would stand up at the bouncer's table, and, you know, I would just hang out and talk with him. We'd watch TV, you know, whatever the fuck game was on. And people got into fights, we'd go break them up, you know. And, yeah. But I wasn't actually the bouncer. I was just hanging out with Dennis. Dennis was the bouncer. And there's a rule with bouncers. If it's in the bar, you gotta get the fight out of the bar. Whatever it takes to get the fight out of the bar, I don't care, get the fight out of the bar, right? This is a bar. This bar is supposed to be safe. So, you get the fight out of the bar. Well, once you've taken both of the people that are fighting in the bar, and you've bodily removed them from the bar, and now they're both out on the street with each other, well, they keep fighting. And what do the bouncers do? They stand in front of the door to make sure that neither of them is going to run back into the bar with the other in tow, so as to have the fight in the bar again, right? So they just stand there and watch the two idiots fight. It's in the street. Bar's not liable in the street. It's their problem, right? Who fucking cares, right? And I've seen a girl clock a dude who was fighting another guy in the head. And he whipped around and fucking hit her in the fucking head. Right? She folded like a paper piece of shit and started crying and saying, "Why did he hit me?" Because you hit him from behind as he was engaged in combat with another person. He didn't know or care who you were. You were the person hitting him. That was good enough. That's why. Like, and I sat there with another friend of mine, And we were sitting there in front of the door, making sure the fight didn't come back in the bar, right? And we're watching, and we see this, and I kind of went, is it fucked up that I'm not bothered by that at all? In fact, I think it's a bit funny. And he's like, I don't think so, because I'm right there with you. Yeah. And we just kind of went back into the bar after that. Because, I mean, that ended the fucking fight. Like, he hit that chick and everybody, you know, he realized what he did. He took off running. The dude he was fighting, he took off running. And once two guys, you know, are running through the group of people that are all fighting each other, going to their car, everybody fucking breaks and runs at that point. Because who knows why they're doing it. But they're running. I'm going to run too. It was a fight. I don't want to be here. So, everybody fucking ran and took off. And so we went back in the bar. And I had beer. But, like, you know, you push them out of the bar, and then whatever happens outside of the bar, you're an asset to the bar. The bar doesn't want you to get hurt out of the bar. If you get hurt inside the bar will take care of it because you got hurt during work. That's a worker's comp claim. You know, the bar's going to take care of that for you. But if you go out into the parking lot where you're not supposed to be to break up a fight, you're not supposed to break up because that's their fucking problem. You're working. Why aren't you in the bar? You know what I mean? Then that's your problem because you're the idiot bouncer that decided to quit and go out and fucking help these people not fight each other. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way the bar kind of looks at it. So, I kind of look at it from that perspective, but I'm not a bouncer. Right? But I am old now. I'm not all that old. I'm almost 40. But I am broken. And part of the reason I'm broken is because of all the time I spent breaking up fights in bars. So, like, for me to jump in to save two girls from a 6-foot fucking 3 monster who's just pummeling them, I gotta have a damn good reason. And if they're running in to swing at him, they're fighting him, man. I don't know who started it, right? Now, therein lies the crux. Who started it? If one of the girls pushed the guy, or poked him in the chest, or something like that, or screamed right in his face all crazy like, I don't know, or was just being generally cunty, you know, if any of that kind of shit happens, well, okay, general cuntiness, and even really, like, screaming in his face to a degree. That, I wouldn't say you hit a woman for that. But if she's fucking engaging with him, right, I could see a guy, you know, if she pushes him, I could see a push back. And then if she hits him, I can see a hit back, you know, like, and I'm not gonna. She punched him. Why would I jump in? Just punch me? Like, no. She just started a fight with that guy. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, but she just started a fight with that guy. And I have told girls when they're like, let's date. All right. You're now talking about moving into a whole different realm of me. And I need to explain to you who exactly I am. And one of the things I tell them is, if somebody starts a fight with you, tag me in, I'll take it from here. Right? If somebody starts a fight with you, I'm all about it if you don't want to be involved. I'll take care of it, don't worry. I'll even hide the body. I know places. So, that's one thing. If you pick a fight with a guy, I'll coach. You know, I'll be in the corner. I'll be yelling, left, right, combination, 1, 2, 3. You know, I'll yell stuff out at you. If it makes sense to you, do it, you know, but it'll make sense to me. You know, I'll give you good instruction. I won't just be yelling random numbers and shit. I'll be telling you what to do, you know. You know what I mean? He steps right when, you know, he steps left. Like, you know, like, I know what I'm doing. So, you know, I'm a decent coach. And I'll give you good advice. But if it doesn't make sense to you, I I don't know what to tell you. Watch more UFC. Do a little training. What do you want from me? So, and I'll be your cut man. I'll patch you up afterwards. Bring you to. All right, sweetie. Wake up. Time to go home. You lost, baby. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was a rough one. Why didn't I help? Because you punched him. Why would I have helped? Well, am I going to hit you? You hit him first. What? Whose side am I going to jump in on? You know what I mean? Like, and after that, whether you win or lose, if you beat the dog shit out of that guy, we're done. I'm not dating you anymore. No. It's over. Because you're a violent fucking person. And that's not the person that I am. So, just saying. You gotta watch the conditions. And I stick to that. Like, no, I broke up with a girl because she was a terrible person to my friends. Didn't get into a fight with any of them. But she was just a fucking bitch the whole night. And everybody was like, dude, what are you doing with this girl? You can do a lot better. And I was like, you know what? I can. And I broke up with her ass. Because fuck that. Like, why am I going to put up with that? I'm not saying you got to plaster your fucking smile on your face everywhere we go all the fucking time. But if the point is to go out and have fun with a group of my friends, how about you not be a fucking asshole that night? Like, because it wasn't like anything happened. She was just being a bitch. And I'm like, I don't want to have a relationship with you. Because if this is what I'm to expect of you, So, yeah, no. Like, if he would have walked up to these girls on the street and just started punching them, oh yeah, I would have fucking, I'd have been in on it, and it would have been fun, and yeah, but in 6 years of being at the bar every day except Sunday, I've never ever seen that. I've never seen a dude just walk up to a girl and punch her. Never. And I was talking to my buddy Tommy, and he was working at the bar around the same time that I was going to the bar all the time. And he wound up purchasing a bar, which is featured in my short film, Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And he was there for a long time. He has 14 years under his belt of being in the bar. Not every day. He worked a lot of shifts for a good long while, but when he owned the bar, he was there every day but Sunday, right? So he's got stories. He's got lots of stories. And, like, we have a lot of the same stories, but I was bouncing around between two bars. He worked at one for a long time, and then he worked at the other for a long time, and then he bought his own place. And So, I got a lot of stories he doesn't know, and he's got a lot of stories I don't know, and shit like that, but we got a lot of the same stories too. And it was fun reminiscing with him today. But I asked him, I said, have you ever seen a dude just clock a chick? Like, without being hit first. Like, he hit first. And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen that. And I'm like, tell me the story. And he's like, well, there was this one time, there was a couple, and they were arguing, and he hit her. They were arguing, he hit her. And I'm like, he didn't just walk up to her and hit her? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, alright. And I'm like, what was the other one? It was essentially, there was this couple, they were arguing, and he hit her. Right? So in both situations, what happened, from what he remembers, is that quite a few guys got up, started telling the guy how that's not appropriate to hit a woman, and generally that ends in with a fight, and the dude gets pummeled, right? I've seen it before, where a woman started hitting a dude repeatedly, and he hit her back, and then a bunch of guys beat the shit out of him, and then I watched them load him into the ambulance. That was not fun. Never went to that bar again. That was in a university town. So, I still think, is my belief, that that one of those guys was her boyfriend, and him and his dudes wanted to just beat the shit out of somebody that night. I honestly think that's what it was, because the girl left with all the guys. So either, you know, the train was in town, or, you know, I don't know. So, but I said, you've only ever seen arguments? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, and you've only ever seen two? And he's like, yeah. He's like, in 14 years of working in bars, I've only ever seen 2 times where women have been hit, where it's been an argument and the dude hit her first. He's like, I have never seen a guy just walk up and cold clock a girl. He's like, I've never seen a girl bump into a guy and spill her beer all over him and him hit her. He's like, I've never ever seen it where it wasn't an argument between like a couple and the fight. So, and generally it ended badly every time. He's like, I've seen a lot of guys get hit by women and hit back, you know, but that happens, you know. And I'm like, wow, that just happens. He's like, man, he's like, not all that often. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, have you ever seen a guy, like, bump into a dude, spill beer on him, and him get hit? And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, you see that a lot. And I'm like, you ever seen a guy just walk up to a dude and hit him? And he's like, yeah, you see that. And I'm like, you know, like, it's, I don't know. It's, the rarer something is, it's not like, you know, I'm not trying to make a plea to not happening a fuck ton fallacy or whatever the fuck you guys would call it. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Really depends on the situation. If a girl hits a dude in a bar and the dude hits her back, if they're in the bar, I expect they'll both be ejected from the bar. If they continue to fight outside of the bar, I'll watch and make sure that when the dude knocks her the fuck out, he doesn't start just kicking the shit out of her. You know, I'll make sure that she stays alive. I'll try to at the very least. But, you know, like, she punched the dude. It's on her. I'm not going to fucking come to her rescue. And wind up myself now being involved one way. Because now she's attacked him. He's attacked her. If I try to grab him, she's going to be punching him as I'm trying to restrain him. And if I turn him somehow or get between them, she's just going to hit me while she's trying to hit around me to hit him. Right? So, who do I grab? The girl? I'm going to physically restrain a woman who's fighting with a guy? I don't generally think the guy would continue to punch her if I was trying to pull her off of him. I'm willing to err on the side of I don't think that would happen. I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I'm grabbing her arms and leaving her to be hit, because you never know. The dude might think, oh, he's on my side. Yeah, you know, and start teeing the fuck off on her. I'm not going to do it like that. I would get between them. But if I'm getting between her, who's trying to fight him, and I'm trying to grapple her to keep her from hitting me, I don't think he's going to be punching her in the fucking head around me. You know what I mean? I don't see that happening. But she's going to fucking fight me, because she's going to be trying to fight him. So she's going to be now fighting me, who's trying to restrain her, because she just wants to get back to fighting him. No! I'm not... Fuck no! She started it, man. I'm not getting involved in that. Why the fuck should I? Now, if it was a situation where it was an argument and the woman and the dude are you know, verbally fighting with each other, and he clocks her, oh, yeah. I'm going to explain to him why that's not appropriate, and predictably it's going to end in a fight. You know? And if a dude just walked up to a chick and just punched her in the face, I wouldn't even bother antagonizing him until he swung at me. I would just fucking just beat the shit out of him. Cause fuck that, man. That's just I don't even know. I would hope that I would have more self-control than that, but honestly, I think I'd beat the shit out of him. I honestly do. Call me an idiot. What do you want from me? But you know, I think that's if the punishment fits the crime, and the crime is he randomly walked up to a girl he didn't know and punched her in the face. I think a dude randomly walking up to a dude that punched a girl randomly in the face, I don't think that that's an escalation. You know, I can argue that two wrongs can make a right in that situation. Because it would really feel good to me. But, you know, and like, I'm not, you know, I don't generally talk about this. Because I don't generally talk about this, not because I don't want people to be like, and like look into my background to see if it's all true. I can show you that it's true if you really want me to. No, I still have those. I still have all my karate certificates. I think they're in that closet. I have pictures of me doing buffer weapon fighting. And I've got multitudes of people that can come on and tell you stories about me when I was fighting. Dennis is one of them. So, bring it. I got recipes. I got shit tons of recipes. I can cook for the world. Right? So, I took karate when I was a kid. It was at the, essentially the local Y when it comes down to it. And I don't even know how long I did it. Maybe even a couple of months. I don't know. I think I ranked up 3 or 4 belts. I don't even know. I haven't a clue. I don't remember. And that was my karate experience. And then when I got out of high school, and a little bit during high school, but when I got out of high school, I did buffer weapon fighting with a local group called Dagger Hair, right? And they're nationwide, so saying local doesn't really pinpoint where I am. Ding! But I was in a local group, local chapter, Dagger Hair, and they were buffer weapon fighting. And they would take PVC pipe, and then you would take camping mat foam, like the foam that you put down to sleep on in camping, and you would cut that into strips, and I'm going to stop saying that. You'd loop it around the PVC pipe, glue it down, then you would cover it with cover. Usually what I would use is I would take like old t-shirts, and then I would just cut it to where it could fit, and then I would just stitch it. Usually by hand. After a while, I started having my dad stitch it on the sewing machine, because my dad is the one that sews in the family. What do you want? And son of a bitch. So I would, I did buffer weapon fighting. I was extremely good. I have about I would say somewhere in the area of about a 95% chance, well, at the time, in my prime, there's about a 95% chance you were not going to beat me in one-on-one combat, depending on who you were. Some people I just couldn't beat, but maybe once or twice. They were fucking just light years better than me. Just athletes like you wouldn't fucking believe. Some of the guys that I used to fight with were amazing. I'm like, you should be making money somehow doing this. I don't know if like assassin is a thing anymore, or like, I don't know, but fucking you should definitely be making money doing this, because they were, dude, one guy, Noip, his name was Noip. It stood for no one important. Important. Noip was a bad motherfucker, dude. He was so good. We had, you know what? Let me get my beads. Alright, so these are my proficiency beads. Anybody who's familiar with Dagger Hair would know that these are proficiency beads, right? I have 2 strands because I have 2 kingdoms that I would fight for. We had 2 local chapters. The beads, different beads represent different things. The black one is man-at-arms. That means that you can use shields and swords. Ooh, let's do this side first. Brown, I believe, was axe hammer. There's polearm. I think axe was red. The glow-in-the-dark one was, I think, grappling or something like that. But this silver one right there, that is the Noip You the Shit bead. It was rare, the people that had Noip You the Shit beads. But I asked Noip to spar with me one time, and we fought, and he just beat the shit out of me. But I learned a lot, and I actually got to the point where I could hit him. I never beat Noip. I never actually beat Noip. I've hit him, and that's impressive. And then there was another event where I wound up teamed up with him, and we fought together, and we had a very good time. It's very tough to do. And after that, he gave me Noip the Shit beat, because Noip had deemed me the shit. Like the sparkly one is heraldry. It means I know all the rules and I can test people and stuff. I was forced to have heraldry in this kingdom. Forced to! I demanded that I not have heraldry, and they demanded I be a fucking herald. Pissed me off. But, whatever. So, yeah, there's a little walk through my combat history. This is all of them, too, by the way. 2 kingdoms, this is all the beads you get. I had them all. Except for heraldry in this kingdom, because I never wanted to be a fucking herald. I didn't want to have to test people and shit like that, but whatever. But I was damn good. I was a damn good fighter. With a sword and shield, because I used to use a tower shield, so it covered me from just below my knee to shoulder height, right? And I would just sit back behind it with my sword like this, so you couldn't even see my sword. And then I would just, boop. I was a nasty motherfucker with a sword and a shield. I had a left-handed shield, so I also fought left-handed, which means I was ambidextrous as far as sword fighting is concerned, and I am. I was damn good what we call Florentine, which is 2-weapon fighting, 2 swords. I, for a brief time, decided I wanted to get really good at dagger. I decided I wanted to get really good at dagger, so I made myself a really cool dagger. It had like a ring, like it had like a gun trigger guard on it. I would spin it. I was a prick. And I would go out with my dagger, and I would fight people with my dagger. And then I decided that dagger just wasn't cool enough, so I wanted to also have a short spear. So I made myself a spear that was about that long, and I took a Nerf football, cut it in half. That was my pokey end. And I would use that, and I would use that in my dagger. And I was a prick with the fucking short man, because I would use that in my right arm, and my dagger would be in my left. And every once in a while, I'd pop that thing over, and boop, throw it at you and pop it in the head, because it's javelin. Javelin. And I have no idea if these are the correct colors or not. I have no clue. So I'd flip it around and pop you in the head with the javelin. I threw a javelin through a split tree once, hit somebody in the head, killed him. That was a good shot. Everybody loved that. For a while there, I tried to use bow and arrow. I was not good with bow and arrow. Arrows are really difficult to fire when you've got a weighted pad on the end of it. So they don't really fly very straight or very far. And when you can only use a bow with, I believe my bow is 25-pound draw, and I think my bow is, 35 was max. I'm not entirely sure, but we had restrictions on the poundage that you could have on your bow. So I didn't really use a lot of bow. Wasn't fantastic with bow, and it hurts your forearms if you fuck up. So I didn't really use bow a whole lot. What I did use a whole lot was an axe that I made and a flail that I made. Now some people think they get mace and flail confused. Some people think that the ball, the spiked ball hanging on the chain, on the stick, some people think that's a mace. No. The spiked ball that's just stuck on the end of a stick, that is a mace. The other thing is called a flail. Flails are fun because it's on a chain. It was just like a big Nerf ball, I think it was, on a. I took a shirt, I sewed the head hole closed, right? I turned it inside out, shoved the ball inside of it, twisted it up, and then built the rest of it around it, right? And that was my flail. And I would wail on people with that. That was my left-hand weapon. My right-hand weapon was this axe that I made. And it was a crescent axe, one blade, crescent axe, and it had like the actual stick of the thing, and then there was the axe would kind of came up like that. That was the top of it. And I would push people's weapons off with that, right? And then on the bottom, it came down pretty much to there, that close, and then there was a big gap, right, where the bottom of the axe head was. And I would catch people's swords in that, pull them out of their hand. And then in the middle, I had a big hole that I used to use to test weapons. This is heraldry. I do know that's heraldry. I used to use to test weapons to make sure that they passed, right? If you could just barely get your sword into my axe, your weapon passed, right? If you couldn't get your sword into my axe, your weapon passed, but I would fail it because I didn't like that because I couldn't do my trick with it. But if your sword went really easy into my axe, your fucking weapon was shit. You gotta remake it. So I made it to that specifications not only because I was made a herald, but because then that way I could sometimes turn the axe to the side and just go bloop, and just smack it right down on somebody's sword. It would go, I mean, if you hit it hard enough, it would go in, and then I could just whip their sword out of their hand, drop the flail, take their sword, and kill them with their own sword. Do shit like that. I was a motherfucker. Like, I had, my brother-in-law was big into it, and he taught me a lot of old guy dirty tricks. So I used to use a lot of those. And then I came up with a lot of my own dirty tricks. And I was a motherfucker. I was a damn good fighter. In mass combat, I would always get killed very quickly because somebody would always gank me from behind or some shit like that. One-on-one though, I was a damn good fighter one-on-one. Back in the day. I have no idea what I would do now. The last time I fought, I went to Gen Con in Indianapolis. And we were at Gen Con, and they had a group, a dagger hair group that was there, their local chapter. And they were doing a demonstration. And you sign a waiver. You fight. And I decided I wanted to go fight. I said to my buddy Lunk, Lunk, I'm thinking about fighting. And he's like, you're old. At the time, mind you, I think I was 26. And he looked at me and went, you're old. And I'm like, I could still do it. He's like, when was the last time you fought? And I'm like, years ago. And he's like, and when was the last time you fought before that? And I'm like, years ago. And he's like, yeah, you're old. He's like, you haven't done it in a long time. You're too rusty. You can't do it. You can't fight. He's like, you can go in there and play around if you want to, and you get beat up and killed, but you're not gonna recapture the glory days, man. You're not gonna be doing the Ren Fair anymore. He's like, if you're going in there thinking you're gonna fucking perform, ain't gonna happen. And that was a dare I couldn't pass up. So I went and signed up, and the guy comes up to me as I'm about to go in next, and he looks at me and he goes, "You ever done this before?" And I'm like, no, never done this before. It looks cool. And he's like, oh, okay. And he starts running me through all the rules, and I'm sitting there with a big grin on my face, and Lunk's going, oh my God. Because Lunk's like, why are you having him tell you all the rules? You know all the fucking rules. Why are you listening to this spiel? And I wanted to hear the spiel. I wanted to see how good they were. So he gave me the spiel. And I'm like, that's very informative. And he's like, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, it's really good. I'm like, I used to do this all the time. I'm like, I did this for years, way back in the day. I used to do Ren Fairs. I just wanted to hear your spiel. And he's like, oh. So I went in there, They gave me a shield, and they gave me a sword. I'm like, you have a left-handed shield? And he's like, no. And I'm like, damn. So I'm like, all right. So I went in there with a sword and a shield. And I'm standing across from this dude, and he's like, you want to warm up a little bit, or you want to just go? And I'm like, fuck it. And I just charged him and started fighting him. And it was pretty good. We had a really good, like, 3 or 4 passes. We were actually getting a decent crowd, which was pretty awesome because I was moving all over the place. Because here's the thing. If you ever decide you want to do this sort of thing, if you want to go to a Renaissance fair and have a lot of people stand around and watch you, just move a whole lot. That's all you really have to do. You have to make passes against each other. If you're just standing there and tapping at each other, nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to watch. If you're lunging and going at each other, swinging, blocking, if you're actually working and moving, people will want to watch you. There won't be, and at a convention, everybody's walking by. So you draw a crowd like that, and we drew a crowd pretty quick. And people were watching, and at one point, I was starting to get winded, and he's like, one more pass. And I'm like, all right. And we were giving, I was giving as good as I was getting. I wasn't hitting him as often as he was hitting me, but, we were hitting each other. So I go in for one more pass, and I went past him. We both swung. We both blocked. We both turned. We both swung again. But when I turned, I slid. Like, I purposefully slid. Both my feet. It wasn't like I did a split or anything like that. I purposefully slid, went into the guard fence, right? But when I did, I didn't really, because I didn't work that convention. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't really spec out the conditions like I usually do whenever I do conventions or whenever I would do demonstrations and stuff like that. So I didn't really check how high the guardrail was at the bottom. And it was one of those higher guardrails. I thought it was one of the lower guardrails. And it wasn't. So when I hit it with my ankle, my foot bent underneath it, and I got up real quick, and then I went at it again with him like 2 more times. We fought a really good end to it, and then I walked out. People clapped. It was cool, and I said thank you very much. I handed the weapons over to the guy, and then as soon as we walked away, Lunk's like, you can start limping now. It's fine. And I immediately was like, oh my god, my fucking ankle. And he's like, yeah, dude, I saw that. That was bad. And I'm like, god damn it. That was fucked up. That ruined a decent portion of the rest of the trip. But it was my first encounter with a perk set. And that was pretty interesting. And then we went and did the live dungeon, which was a lot of fun, especially since I was on perks. But it hurt to walk through a maze, a winding maze thing with a severely fucked up ankle. And there's a lot of standing around at conventions, So, yeah, it sucked. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. But that was the last time I fought. And I think it was like 26, 27 then. So, that was a long fucking time. It was a decade ago. I haven't fought in a long time. But, I did do that kind of stuff. And I was good. And one of the things I love to do was grappling, because I like wrestling with people, because I was just generally bigger and stronger than most everybody, and for whatever reason I was also pretty good at that, or at least I was better than them. But yeah, so I was good at it all. I really loved doing it. And then after that, I would say, yeah, pretty much when I gave it up was around like 28, 29. That was when I kind of thought maybe I start training a little bit and do some MMA, and that lasted about a year. I did some really good hard training for about a year, and I never fought. But I got in a really good shape, so there's that. But yeah. So I know what I'm doing. I bounced in a bar for 6 years straight, every day. And yeah, it was fucking, I know how to handle myself. And I know what I see when I'm seeing it. And I'm seeing 2 girls that are fighting 1 dude. And from the article and from what they're claiming, they're sore losers. And they're deciding to say, the big man beat us up. They clocked this dude from behind, and now they're sitting on the ground saying, why did he hit me?